The battle for the Kano Emirate continues, with both camps of Emir Muhammadu Sanusi II and deposed Emir Ado Bayero presenting conflicting interpretations of the recent appeal court ruling. Now, despite the Kano State government's claim that the ruling does not nullify Sanusi's reinstatement, supporters of Ado Bayero, led by Aminu Baba Agundi, insist their principle remains the authentic Emir of Kano until the Supreme Court delivers its judgment. Now, speaking to journalists in Kano, Baba Agundi urged the public to disregard comments by the Kano State Attorney General and await the Apex Court's decision. News Central's Emmanuel Bagudu reports.
A resurgence of the Kano Emirship tussle, and this time a pronouncement by the appellate court insisting that its judgment on declaring Muhammad Sanusi II authentic Emir of Kano cannot be enforced except it is backed by the Apex Court. A pronouncement that was greeted with widespread jubilation from the Ado Bayero's camp.
Pending the hearing and determination of the applicant's appeal filed on 2024-125 before the Supreme Court. So this is the first prayer, and this is what they are talking about. This is what they are even advising the governor. An order to stay that judgment. But the most important order is the second prayer, which they don't know, which they are not even talking about it. And it is here.
Also addressing journalists in Kano shortly after the ruling, Haruna Dedori, the state's Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, said that the ruling does not invalidate the reinstatement of Lamido Sanusi as the 16th Emir of Kano.
The judgment is still valid and subsisting until the determination of the appeal before the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Once again, we call on the general public to resist any provocative statements and continue to be law-abiding. The Kano State government has already instructed its lawyers to closely study the outcome for the determination of the next line of action.
In a ruling delivered on Friday, the appeal court temporarily held off on enforcing its own judgment, overturning a ruling of the Federal High Court invalidating the Kano State government repeal of the 2019 Emirate Council law. In Kano for News Central, Emmanuel Bagudu.
Now let's head to Rivers State, where the Kalabari people, who are of the Ijaw nation, have held a civic reception to honor the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike. The event, a thanksgiving for the Supreme Court ruling on Rivers' political affairs, comes just 3 days after the minister described the Ijaw people as minority during a media chat. News Central's correspondent Biola Festus has more.
Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, arrives in Abalama, a stronghold of the Rivers Ijaws, in grand style, amidst protests by the Ijaw Youth Council, Eastern Zone.
Police don't share tear gas, or police don't shoot tear gas.
The civic reception is happening despite warnings from several quarters to dissuade organizers from inviting the minister to Kalabari and Ijaw stronghold. Addressing his teeming supporters, Wike clarifies that he is on the side of the Ijaws and supports their desire of producing a governor.
What you have done today is to tell the world all this noise in the radio is not the real thing. You are the Calabaris, you are your Ijaw nation, and you are receiving me today.
It recalls the uproar elicited by his recent media conference, which had put stakeholders of the Ijaw ethnic nationality at edge.
What I said on my interview, people will want to misinterpret. Whatever they want to misinterpret is their business. What I said is this, and I want to repeat it. We are all working together. If we don't work together, it will be difficult to produce a government.
Commenting on the feud between him and the governor, Similala Yefobora, the FCT minister asserts that the governor has been having a tea party with those who never meant well for his government. He boasts that Governor Fubara's woes are far from ending.
With people who wanted to be governor, whom I said no, this wouldn't mean well for River State. Now, they are the ones surrounding you, giving you advice. Why do you think you will succeed? They will give you bad advice. And see what the bad advice is doing to you. You're already down 2-0. 2-0. I'm going to go.
Stakeholders in Kalabari recount the FCT minister's benevolence to their ethnicity, describing them as indications of his indiscriminatory attributes.
As a two-term governor, you gave everything to Rivers people. Not only in terms of unparalleled development, but also positively changing the dynamics of inter-ethnic relationships through enhancing strategic collaboration among the ethnic groups in the state. You protected, defended, and gave a sense of belonging to every ethnic group in the state. The Ijos cannot thank you enough in this regard.
I hear people say Ijo, Asawana. Is who made the Ijo governor? Yes, we can make the Ijo governor for the first time in our history. We are not the only ones in Niger Delta. We are a small fraction of the Niger Delta. We have other ethnic nationalities that make up the Niger Delta. And we need them to be able to survive and exist as the people of the Ijo people.
Meanwhile, the Ijo Youth Council had staged an early morning anti-Wike protest at the entrance of the community where the reception was holding, in response to the comments made by the FCT minister that the Ijos are minority in Rivers State. In Asari Toru, for News Central, Biola Festus.
In the meantime, youth groups under the aegis of the Niger Delta Youth Council have threatened to shut down all production across the region over the ongoing political crisis. The groups issued a 7-day ultimatum to President Bola Tinubu demanding, among other things, the immediate restoration of Rivers State's statutory revenue allocation and an end to all impeachment plots against Governor Siminalayi Fubara and a public retraction of alleged anti-Ijaw remarks attributed to former Governor Nyesom Wike. In an open letter to the President, signed by NDYC President Bene Yokore Mamabu, the group warned that failure to meet their demands could result in a total shutdown of oil production in the region. To security matters, Abia State Governor Alex Oti has ordered for the demolition of the building in Osokwa Osisioma local government area where some kidnapped young men were stashed away by their abductors. 4 able-bodied men were rescued from the kidnappers' den in Osisioma local government area of Abia State by the men of the Intelligence Response Unit of the State Police Command. Abia State Commissioner of Police, Danladi Isa, at a press conference on Saturday at the government house in Umuahia, informed the governor of how his men were able to respond to and rescue the kidnapped victims on the 9th of March 2025, and Governor Alex Oti commended the team that executed the operation and pledged an undisclosed reward for them.
We were able to track them to Asokwa in Osisioma area in the bid to make our way into the premises. My tactical teams were seriously under a very heavy gunfire. In the exchange of fire that ensued, 6 of the kidnappers were neutralized. Some escaped with bullet injuries. 2 AK-47 were recovered.
We will locate the owner of that house. If he has not been located, he will be prosecuted. Anywhere that people yield their houses to criminals, that means those people, those landlords are also criminals themselves. And we are going to be very, very intolerant to those going forward. I would also like the Honorable Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs to interface with the traditional ruler of that place, because it shows something is wrong.
So the narrators, the apostles pointed their guns, 2 of them pointed their guns at us. There were 4 in number, pointed their guns at us, asked us to offer our car. We entered into the vehicle. They drove us to an unknown destination. So we were there till Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. They collected our phones, we lost our phones, and collected money. Some of us did transfer to them. So.
In a significant blow to criminal networks, the Nigerian Air Force has launched a successful airstrike in Katsina State, neutralizing more than 20 bandits. The operation, carried out on 13th March 2025 by the air component of Operation Fansanyama, targeted the fortified camps of notorious bandit leaders Gero and Alhajiriga in the Unguwer Goga Hill Forest, Ruwangodia Ward, Faskari local government area. A statement from the Nigerian Air Force confirmed that the precision strikes based on actionable intelligence inflicted heavy losses on the bandits' network. Other casualties were reported in the surrounding rocky hills. Gero and Riga were key figures in the region's banditry, providing safe havens for terrorist elements responsible for deadly ambushes along the Funtua-Gusau road. This latest strike is seen as a major step in the ongoing military campaign to restore peace and stability in the northwest region. Amidst growing security concerns, the Borno State government has provided new operational vehicles to the police, military and other security agencies to combat the resurgence of attacks in rural areas. The development comes as the Inspector General of Police visits Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, to assess the security situation. News Central's Umaru Kirawa has the details.
Security incidents, including targeted attacks on rural communities and highways in northeast Nigeria, have heightened concerns. Inspector General of Police, accompanied by senior officers, visited Maiduguri to meet with the state governor and discuss ways to enhance security operations.
We are gathered here to present 110 operational vehicles, 500 motorcycles, the security agencies in Borno State. Out of these 110 vehicles, 60 will be given to the Nigerian police force, while 15 will be given to the Nigerian military, plus 500 motorcycles.
These operational assets are going to be put into immediate operational use for the enhancement of security and safety of the people of Borno State. Your support is a testament to the strong partnership that is existing between your government and the security agencies in this state. And I want to assure you that we are committed, strongly committed, to continue this partnership with you. And I thank you for all that you have done for the security agencies in the past, and we are not going to disappoint you.
The newly acquired vehicles are expected to improve the mobility and effectiveness of security personnel in tackling the remnants of insurgents threatening the state. Officials emphasize the need for proactive measures to sustain peace across the country.
We will collectively aspire to achieve the strategic vision of the Inspector General of Police that the crime waves should be reduced to at least 50% in the year 2025.
We utilize this to ensure that we create an enabling environment for all other items of governance to thrive especially the return of IDPs to their ancestral homes, which we are envisaging in the coming times.
The Borno State government has also provided 280 housing units for police officers to boost morale and support their role in maintaining peace. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now, wife of the president, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, has clinched the Woman of the Year award at the Independent Awards 2024 held in Lagos, while Seyi Makinde, governor of Oyo State, received the flagship Man of the Year award for the priority and sustained attention given by his administration to multi-sectoral investments in infrastructure across the state, in education, health, road, and the all-important agricultural sector. Other governors who were recognized for providing impactful leadership include Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State, who is the Governor of the Year, Solid Minerals Development. The Independent Newspaper's Award for Development in the Healthcare Sector goes to Sheriff Oborevwori of Delta State, while Senator Bassey Otu, the Governor of Cross River State, received the award of Governor of the Year 2024 for Economic Transformation. Governor Usman Ododo of Kogi State will also be recognized for his efforts to enhance national food security by providing funding and equipment for mechanized farming in farming communities across the 21 local government areas of the state. Meanwhile, News Central Television has clinched the fastest rising television station of the year 2024 at the Independent Newspaper's annual awards ceremonies. The ceremony had dignitaries from all spheres of human endeavor in attendance to celebrate distinguished men, women, and institutions that made the year 2024 remarkable in their various spheres. The nominations, which were determined by the Independent Board of Editors, took cognizance of the verifiable achievements of the awardees in line with the theme of this year's edition, celebrating landmark accomplishments. Now, the award was received by Managing Director and Editor-in-Chief of News Central, Kayode Akintemi, accompanied by the top management staff.
The next award, ladies and gentlemen, is for the fastest growing broadcast station 2024. And the winner is News Central TV.
Fastest growing TV station of the year. News Central is Africa's first fully indigenous and truly 24-hour pan-African news television brand. News Central TV.
In a major crackdown on international fraud, NAFDAC has exposed a sophisticated syndicate using fake documents to scam foreign companies. Director General of the agency, Professor Christiana Adeyeye, reveals the details of this high-level scandal. News Central correspondent Sumaya Abubakar has the details.
The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control says it uncovers a well-coordinated fraud targeting unsuspecting victims by individuals impersonating its officials.
It's a case of fraud and obtaining funds by impersonation as an official of NAFDAC.
The syndicate, operating from Aba, Abia State, used fake NAFDAC certificates and receipts to defraud companies from the UAE, China, Korea, Poland, and the UK. They lured victims with promises of registration, then introduced them to fake lawyers for exorbitant fees.
Our investigation revealed that the group operates 15 domiciliary and 5 local accounts in 7 Nigerian banks. The account in one of the banks has a BVN that is being used by the 2 key members of the group, Ikoro Ifendu and Rosemary Obosi. The exact number of the accounts have not been established because the suspect had deleted some of the accounts and the alert messages. The tentative cumulative inflow from different victims into the domiciliary accounts in Nigeria is estimated to be $950,000, while the sum of $450,000 is the estimated inflow into the accounts held offshore in Cotonou, Benin Republic.
NAFDAC is handing the fraud case over to the EFCC, signaling a broader investigation. In a separate operation, NAFDAC's ongoing investigations conducted at free open markets in Aba, Onitsha, and Idumota have uncovered the alarming presence of narcotics and a range of counterfeit drugs.
What we have found could reduce quality of life for millions of Nigerians. If you have diabetes, if you have hypertension, which need daily treatment, such people could die easily with what we have found.
The agency warns perpetrators of these nefarious activities to desist forthwith.
These are vaccines. Vaccines are supposed to be kept in the refrigerator or in the freezer.
In Lagos, for News Central, Sumaya Abubakar.
Over 2,000 kilograms of various types of illicit drugs have been recovered from over 900 suspected drug dealers and users in Plateau State in the last 1 year. Now, of this figure, 939 are males, while 51 are females, as presented by the Plateau State Command of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. Now, News Central's Chizoba Anyonwe tells us more.
Experts say there is a close relationship between drug abuse and crime. The Plateau State Commander of the NDLEA also shares this view.
Drugs has a nexus with almost all violent crimes, not only what is happening in Plateau State. You talk of rape, you talk of kidnapping, and so on and so forth. If these things are not there and then crises are not there, money that will be used for schools, to get social amenities, they will channel them appropriately. But when there are crises, you divert the money to something else.
In a bid to reduce this crime to its barest minimum, the state commander says more arrests were made with the recovery of over 2,400 kilograms of illicit drugs.
We seized a man diesel truck. It was forfeited to the federal government of Nigeria. That truck was arrested with 4 persons carrying 1,978 kilograms of cannabis sativa. So we've concluded the case. The 4 persons involved were convicted. The truck was seized. And then 2024 too, we secured the conviction of 131 suspects at the Federal High Court Just, and some of the cases are still ongoing.
Aside inadequate operational vehicles and attacks on officers on duty, the agency seeks a proper rehabilitation center for victims of illicit drug use, especially with these uncompleted buildings for some years now that should serve that purpose.
When you arrest people, arrest them, some of them are users. Where do you take them to? You don't take them to court. You are supposed to rehabilitate them. But what we have here is just a mini rehabilitation. You cannot take more than 30 or at most 31. So these arrests, I'm telling you, 900 and something. Most of them are users. You just keep them here for brief intervention, 2-3 days. And that comes with additional costs. We have to feed them. Some of them will be sick. You know, when you don't take these drugs for some time, they become sick.
Despite the counter-narcotics efforts by the Plateau State Command of the NDLEA, the agency believes more needs to be done, but requires the collaboration and cooperation of all stakeholders. In Plateau State, for News Central, Chizoba Anyonwe.
Now to more health-related news. The World Health Organization has donated essential medical equipment and supplies to the Borno State government to strengthen healthcare services. News Central's Umari Kirawa reports that the donated items include disinfectants, referral slips, mattresses, detergents and medical furniture, among others. While handing over the equipment, the World Health Organization's representatives, Dr. Kumshida Balami, said the donation aims to improve access to quality health care, particularly for vulnerable women and children in Borno State.
The entire WHO, this particular funding, we got it from the contingency fund for emergency that was mobilized by the WHO regional office in Dakar for Sahel countries who are devastated by insurgency. So we believe that these essential commodities, the infection prevention control guidelines, of course the nutrition supplies and the IEC materials will serve to help in promoting and sensitizing education for the treatment and prevention of malnutrition and common childhood illnesses.
On that note, I want to appreciate WHO once again, and that I want to assure WHO that under the leadership of His Excellency, Professor Babagana Omarazulo, all items that are donated are judiciously used. And they reach all even the hard-to-reach areas. As we are here in these premises, the Drugs and Medical Supply Agency is assiduously working hard to ensure the last mile delivery of items, especially including drugs. And these are some of the components, the equipment that are necessary.
The news continues in West Africa, where former Guinean President Alpha Condé, who was overthrown in a 2021 coup, said Saturday that the ruling junta was trying to subjugate the opposition after the military suspended his party. The military government, led by General Mamadi Doumbouya, said on Friday it was suspending 28 political parties for 3 months, including 2 of the country's leading formations. Condé's Rally of the People of Guinea and the Union of Republican Forces Party of Sidia Touré, who, like Condé, is living abroad. The military government claims these parties failed to meet the obligations to provide bank accounts or hold a Congress over the past 3 months. The military also dissolved 27 parties and placed 4 other political groups under observation. To southern Africa, where the death toll from Cyclone Jude that hit northern Mozambique last week has risen to at least 16 people, according to a new toll released on Saturday by the National Institute of Meteorology. At least 2 people are still missing and nearly 60 have been injured. Cyclone Jude hit the country's Indian Ocean coast on Monday, bringing winds of up to 195 kilometers an hour and more than 250 millimeters of rain over 24 hours. It is the 3rd cyclone to strike impoverished Mozambique in 4 months. In December, Cyclone Chido struck the Portuguese-speaking country, causing the deaths of at least 120 people and destroying almost 120,000 homes. Staying in the south of Africa as well, where the South African government has expressed regret over the United States' decision to expel South African ambassador to the U.S., Ambassador Ibrahim Rasool, calling the move unfortunate. In a statement on Saturday, the South African presidency urged both nations to uphold diplomatic decorum amid rising tensions. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced Rasool's expulsion, accusing him of being a race-baiting politician and condemning his outspoken criticism of U.S. President Donald Trump. South Africa responded by reaffirming its commitment to maintaining strong bilateral ties despite the diplomatic rift. The expulsion follows a series of strained relations, including President Trump's decision in February to freeze U.S. aid to South Africa over concerns about a law allegedly facilitating land seizures from white farmers. On World Wrap, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has accused Russia of striving to achieve a stronger position militarily before committing to any ceasefire in the war in Ukraine. Russia earlier this week did not immediately agree to a 30-day ceasefire proposed by the United States as President Vladimir Putin raised questions about the initiative. The ceasefire proposal comes as Russia has the momentum in many areas of the front in Ukraine 3 years into its invasion. Moscow has also ousted Ukrainian troops from swaths of Russia's Kursk region, where Ukraine had led a shock offensive last summer. Russia has occupied large parts of southern and eastern Ukraine, with Moscow claiming to have annexed 4 Ukrainian regions despite not controlling them fully.
Я впевнений перед тише. Зараз вони виглядають, якщо, як мінімум несерйозним. Після пропозиції і після того, на що вони не розраховували, на те, що буде знайдене союзницьке рішення в Джиді, і вони розуміють, що їм треба відповідати. І тепер вони будуть розказувати.
Similarly, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer says Russian President Vladimir Putin will sooner or later have to come to the table as he opened a virtual summit on Saturday aimed at rallying support for Ukraine. The talks, organized by Downing Street, seeks to encourage participating nations to join a coalition committed to safeguarding any eventual ceasefire in Ukraine. Addressing allies, Starmer outlined 3 key priorities, including strengthening Ukraine, ensuring a coalition is ready to uphold any agreement, and maintaining pressure on Russia. He also said President Vladimir Zelensky had demonstrated Ukraine's commitment to peace, having agreed to and upheld a 30-day unconditional ceasefire.
Who's with us this morning has shown once again that Ukraine is the party of peace, because he has agreed to and committed to a 30-day unconditional ceasefire. Now what we see, and this is centrepiece for our discussions today, is that Putin is the one trying to delay. And in a sense, and you all know this, if Putin is serious about peace, it's very simple. He has to stop his barbaric attacks on Ukraine and agree to a ceasefire. And the world is watching. And my feeling is that sooner or later he's going to have to come to the table and engage in serious discussion. But, and this is a big but for us this morning in our meeting, we can't sit back and simply wait for that to happen. We have to keep pushing ahead, pushing forward, and preparing for peace, and a peace that will be secure and that will last. And I think that means strengthening Ukraine so they can defend themselves, and strengthening obviously in terms of military capability, in terms of funding, in terms of the provision of further support from all of us to Ukraine. Secondly, being prepared to defend any deal ourselves through a coalition of the willing. We've begun that process, and this morning we can take it forward. And then thirdly, and really importantly, given the developments of the last few days, to keep the pressure on Putin to come to the table.
The relationship between Russia and Venezuela has reached a new level of maturity as both countries share a strategic vision for the world. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro stated this during a video conversation with Russian leader Vladimir Putin. Russian President Vladimir Putin told his Venezuelan counterpart that a joint strategic cooperation agreement between the two countries is ready to be signed. Putin invited Maduro to do so during his planned visit to the Victory Day celebrations in May. The Venezuelan leader emphasized that Moscow and Caracas had been successfully enhanced or has successfully enhanced their cooperation in numerous areas, including trade, commerce, finance, banking, and energy.
Отмечу, что полностью согласован договор о стратегическом партнерстве и сотрудничестве, который создаст хороший, прочный фундамент для дальнейшего расширения многоплановых связей на долгосрочную перспективу. Его можно было бы подписать в ходе вашего визита в Россию в удобное для вас время. Также был бы рад видеть вас в Москве на торжествах по случаю 9 мая, по случаю 80-летия Победы в Великой Отечественной.
Up next is business.
The continuous fall of the naira has been linked to the massive exit of foreign portfolio investors from Nigeria's financial markets. Financial experts say that the withdrawal of these investors has led to a sharp decline in the supply of foreign exchange in the country, intensifying pressure on the local currency. Foreign portfolio investors who typically invest in Nigeria's government bonds and equities are key suppliers of dollars through the official window. They, however, noted that since their exit began, following policy uncertainties and economic instability, the naira has faced increased volatility and depreciation. The experts pointed out that to reverse this trend, Nigeria must focus on rebuilding investor confidence by ensuring market transparency, stable economic policies, and effective communication by regulatory authorities. The naira recently plunged to record lows as the Central Bank of Nigeria continues efforts to stabilize the currency amid rising demand for foreign exchange and limited inflows. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Heineken Lokpobiri, has reiterated the federal government's resolve to boost investments in the oil and gas sector. He gave the assurance as he toured the Total Energies offshore fields of Ofon and Ejina as part of a one-day familiarization visit. The minister, however, noted that the government is not unmindful of the problems of the international oil companies, emphasizing government's resolve to meet with them, identify the challenges, and find viable solutions to them. Lokpobiri said, with collaborative efforts in tackling issues hampering operational and financial growth in the oil and gas sector, all parties can record a win-win situation. China is shifting its energy focus toward Africa's natural gas sector as the country's oil imports from the continent hit their lowest level in 20 years. According to data cited by the South China Morning Post, China's crude oil imports from Africa fell to about 970,000 barrels per day, down sharply from 1.75 million barrels per day in 2020. Despite the decline in oil trade, Chinese firms are expanding their investments in Africa's gas sector to secure long-term energy needs and diversify supply sources. Major Chinese state-owned companies, including China National Offshore Oil Corporation, are involved in significant liquefied natural gas projects in countries like Mozambique and Nigeria. Experts know that China's growing interest in African gas is driven by the global shift to cleaner energy and Beijing's aim to reduce reliance on traditional oil markets like Saudi Arabia and Russia. The European Commission has identified 42 occupations facing significant shortages, particularly in the construction, transport, and healthcare sectors, and is now focusing on recruiting foreign workers to address these gaps. With a growing need for skilled labor, the EU is facing challenges in maintaining its competitiveness and supporting its economic recovery. Reports inform that the EU's new strategy aims to promote workforce mobility, attract foreign talent, and increase investment in training. As part of the initiative, the EU plans to make the Erasmus Plus exchange program more accessible, strengthen the skills pact for worker retraining, and support visas for foreign students. According to European Commission Vice President for Social Rights, Roxana Minzatu, business across the EU are struggling to find workers with the right skill sets. And that's all on Business News. I am Lekon Onobanjo.
Up next is Sports Update.
Nigeria's under-23 handball men's team suffered a narrow 30-23 defeat to host Bulgaria in the semi-final of the IHF Emerging Nations Championship in Varna. Threading 15-8 at halftime, Nigeria mounted a strong second-half response, matching Bulgaria 15-15. But the early deficit proved too much to overcome. Despite the loss, Nigeria remains in contention for a podium finish and will compete for third place against either Great Britain or USA on Sunday, March 16, 2025. Nigeria's under-17 girls, the Flamingos, have advanced to the final round of the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup qualifiers after a 2-0 victory over South Africa in Ikene Remo. Holding a 3-1 advantage from the first leg in Pretoria, Nigeria sealed their progression with a dominant display. Harmony Chidi opened the scoring in the 37th minute before Aisha and Marchand doubled the lead in the 56th minute, scoring a 5-1 aggregate win. With the result, the Flamingos move one step closer to the World Cup qualification and will now face either Algeria or Botswana in the decisive final round of the qualifiers. Defending champions Enugu Rangers moved up to third in the Nigeria Premier Football League standing after a commanding 3-0 victory over Kwara United on March Day 29 at the Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium. Chidiozeo Korie struck just a minute into the game with a stunning goal, setting the tone for the host. Isaac Xavier doubled the league in the 29th minute before Frank Uwuniro sealed the win in the 62nd minute. Rangers secured only their second victory in 5 matches, while Kwara United's struggle continued, managing just one win in their last 5 outings. The loss leaves them at 12th place as they fight to regain themselves from the closing stages of the season. Brighton and Hove Albion fought back twice to earn a 2-2 draw against Manchester United at the Etihad, keeping the Premier League top 4 race in turns. Despite an early disallowed goal, Brighton responded after falling behind to Erling Haaland's penalty, with Pervis Estupinan curling in a stunning free kick. Manchester City regained the lead through Omar Mamouche, but Brighton struck again to deny them the victory. Meanwhile, Nottingham Forest strengthened their top 4 push with a dominant 4-2 victory over Ipswich Town. Ipswich, still without a league win in 2025, struggled despite early pressure, including a near miss from Omari Hutchinson. Forest's clinical finishing proved decisive, leaving Ipswich battling relegation, while Forest remains in the hunt for European qualification. Finally, in the world of sport, India's Virat Kohli has ruled out a T20 international comeback for the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics, where cricket will return to the Games after 128 years. The International Olympic Committee has confirmed a T20 format, but has yet to finalize the qualification process. Organizers see cricket as a key opportunity to boost India's Olympic interest and commercial potential, making their participation highly probable. Kohli retired from T20 internationals after India's 2024 World Cup triumph, but continues playing in the Indian Premier League. The 36-year-old, who amassed 4,188 runs in 125 T20 appearances, dismissed the probability of a return, despite acknowledging the event's significance for Indian cricket. And that's it in the world of sport. I am Onyinyechi Obaro.
That's all at this hour. But before we go, here's another look at some of our top stories. We told you that FCT Minister Nyesom Wike has dared Ijaw protesters visited Kalabari in Rivers State for Supreme Court verdict Thanksgiving. We also told you that Ododo Sanusi's camps have deferred on appeal court judgment over Kano emirship. Finally, you heard that News Central has emerged fastest rising television station at the Independent Awards 2024. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can also watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Darshan Usman.